You ever notice how the same things keep happening to you? The same patterns, the same disappointments, the same kind of pain dressed in different clothes. You tell yourself it's bad luck, or timing, or maybe people just don't understand you. But deep down, you feel it. That creeping sense that something's off. Like life's trying to tell you something, over and over again. But you're too busy running to listen. It's not coincidence. It's a message. A cycle that won't stop until you finally see what it's trying to show you. Repetition is not coincidence. It's communication. Life doesn't waste energy on random events. Every situation, every heartbreak, every betrayal that keeps circling back isn't just happening to you for fun. It's happening because you didn't hear it the first time. You didn't learn what you were meant to. So it comes back, wearing a new face, speaking a little louder, hurting a little more. You call it bad luck, but it's not luck. It's a lesson dressed in disguise, showing up again and again until you finally pay attention. You see, life is a brutal teacher, patient but merciless. It doesn't care how many times you cry or swear you'll do better. It cares about awareness, about growth. And when you don't grow, when you keep reacting instead of learning, it repeats the scene like a broken record. The faces change, the places change, but the pain stays the same. Different story, same feeling. You fall for the same type of people. You make the same kind of mistakes. You end up in the same emotional ruins. And each time, you swear this one will be different. But it never is, because you never were. People think the universe is unfair. They scream, "Why does this always happen to me?" As if life has something personal against them. It doesn't. It's not out to get you. It's out to wake you. Every repetition is a conversation you keep refusing to have. Every time you ignore your intuition. Every time you tolerate what you know drains you. Every time you repeat the same decision, expecting a new outcome, life takes note. And it says, "All right, they didn't get it. Let's try again." And it does. Louder, heavier, sharper, until you can't ignore it anymore. Repetition is the universe's language. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns. It keeps placing you in situations that trigger the same wounds, because that's where the healing needs to happen. The lesson isn't outside you. It's inside. You're not unlucky, you're unconscious. You're replaying your programming without even realizing it. You're attracted to familiarity, even if that familiarity is pain. That's why people keep choosing the same toxic relationships, the same dead-end jobs, the same self-destructive habits. Because the mind doesn't love happiness. It loves what it knows, even if what it knows is misery. And that's the cruel beauty of it. Life won't stop until you do. Until you stop blaming the world and start decoding the message. Because the moment you see the pattern, you start taking your power back. The repetition loses its grip. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What's this showing me?" That shift is everything. But most people don't reach it. They get stuck in cycles, trapped in repetition, convinced they're cursed. They never realize they're the common denominator in every story. Same pain, different setting, always them at the center. You have to understand something. Life is reflective. It mirrors your inner state. You attract what you are, not what you want. If you keep attracting chaos, it's because you haven't resolved the chaos within. If you keep meeting people who lie, it's because you keep lying to yourself. If you keep ending up in situations where you're undervalued, it's because deep down, you still question your own worth. The outer world is a stage where your inner patterns perform. And until you rewrite the script, the play won't change. You think you're waiting on life to change, but life is waiting on you. Waiting for you to stop ignoring the signals. Waiting for you to stop calling lessons problems. Waiting for you to finally see that everything repeating isn't a coincidence. It's communication. And it's been trying to get your attention for a long time. You just didn't want to listen, because listening means accepting that you might be the reason it keeps happening. Most people don't want truth. They want comfort. They want a reason that makes them the victim, not the cause. But that mindset keeps the cycle alive. Because as long as it's someone else's fault, you don't have to change. You just keep waiting for the world to fix itself, while life keeps replaying the same film, hoping you'll realize you're the director. The scene doesn't end until you rewrite it. Every repetition is an invitation to wake up, to notice, to understand what your soul is trying to say. The pain you keep avoiding, that's the message. The disappointment you keep attracting, that's the mirror. Every loop, every repeated mistake is a clue, pointing you toward the truth you're too afraid to face. And if you ignore it long enough, life stops whispering. It starts screaming. The same problem grows teeth. The same situation becomes unbearable. That's not cruelty. That's urgency. Because the longer you delay awareness, the deeper you fall into blindness. The moment you stop seeing repetition as coincidence, everything changes. You start recognizing patterns, not people. Lessons, not losses. Every event starts connecting like puzzle pieces, revealing a picture that was always there. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding consciously. You stop asking for things to stop happening and start asking what they came to teach. That's when the cycle breaks. That's when life shifts. Because it was never trying to hurt you. It was trying to talk to you. And it'll keep talking until you finally say, I hear you. You ever notice how people crave comfort but complain about being stuck? They want change without chaos, transformation without discomfort, success without sacrifice. It's funny, isn't it? They pray for new beginnings while clinging to old habits like security blankets. They say they want growth, but the moment life starts shaking them up, they panic, they beg for calm, they run back to what's familiar. And that's why nothing changes. Because you can't evolve and stay the same. You can't break cycles while protecting the very patterns that built them. Growth doesn't come gift wrapped. It doesn't arrive with gentle music and a peaceful glow. It comes in storms, in heartbreak, in moments where everything falls apart. That's how life works. It doesn't hand you lessons on silver trays. It throws you into chaos and watches how you react. It tears down everything fake so you can finally face what's real. And that's what people mistake for punishment. But it's not punishment. It's preparation. See, when you ask for strength, life doesn't make things easier. It makes you stronger. When you ask for clarity, it removes people who confuse you. When you ask for peace, it exposes the noise you keep entertaining. And that's the twist. Most people don't want the answers. They just want the illusion of wanting them. Because the real answers are uncomfortable. They demand you let go of things that make you feel safe. They demand you face your reflection, not your excuses. You can't step into a higher version of yourself while still feeding the lower one. You can't walk into your future with the same mindset that built your pain. And yet, that's what everyone tries to do. Drag their past into their promise. They want transformation without release. But life doesn't work like that. You have to burn the old bridge to cross to the new world. And that burning, it hurts. It's not poetic, it's raw. It's the kind of pain that makes you question if it's even worth it. But that's the only way real change happens. When comfort dies, and you're forced to rebuild without it. The funny part, people keep saying, "I'm waiting for a sign." But life has already given them hundreds. They just ignore the ones that don't look like what they expected. They want miracles, not messages. They want magic, not movement. But sometimes the sign isn't a light in the sky. It's the silence after the chaos. The emptiness after the end. The moment you realize nothing around you feels right anymore. That's the sign. That's life whispering. It's time. But you pretend not to hear it, because hearing it means you'd have to do something about it. You keep repeating what you refuse to release. You keep holding on to people who drain you, jobs that kill you, habits that numb you. And every time life tries to push you out, you call it bad luck. But it's not luck. It's liberation in disguise. It's life saying, "I'm not going to let you stay small anymore." But you resist. You fight back. You try to rebuild what was never meant to last. Because deep down, comfort feels safer than uncertainty. Even if that comfort is destroying you. Growth will cost you. It'll cost your ego, your denial, your attachments. It'll strip away everything that isn't aligned with who you're becoming. That's why people stay stuck. Not because they can't change, but because they don't want to pay the price. They want transformation on a discount, but you can't bargain with evolution. It demands full surrender. It doesn't care about your timeline, your excuses, or your fears. When it's time, it's time. And if you don't move willingly, life will move you forcefully. You ever notice how when something keeps going wrong, it's usually because you're trying to control what's meant to shift. You keep patching cracks in walls that are meant to crumble. You keep fixing situations that life is trying to free you from. You call it loyalty, but it's really fear. You're loyal to your own limitations. You're addicted to your pain because it's predictable. And that's the saddest comfort of all. being familiar with misery. But here's the truth. Every breakdown you've had was a breakthrough in disguise. Every ending was an invitation to begin again. Life doesn't destroy, it exposes. It tears away illusions you built to survive, so you can finally start living. The pain that broke you wasn't there to end you. It was there to reveal you. Because the real you only appears when the false one falls apart. The moment you stop resisting the process, you start understanding the purpose. You start seeing the pattern behind the chaos. You start realizing that everything that's been taken from you was actually protecting you from becoming trapped where you didn't belong. Life doesn't withhold what's meant for you. It removes what isn't. But as long as you keep chasing what's leaving, you'll never reach what's waiting. So when things fall apart, don't rush to fix them. Watch. Listen. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Because nothing breaks without meaning. The destruction is the direction. The discomfort is the signal. Everything collapsing around you isn't the end. It's the message. The one you keep ignoring while praying for signs. The one that says, it's time to grow. You ever realize how life has a strange way of cornering you? Like it keeps pushing you into situations you swore you'd never fall into again. The same people, same emotions, same disappointments, just wearing different masks. And no matter how much you try to change your surroundings, the story somehow finds a way to repeat itself. That's not life being cruel, that's life being clever. It's showing you the one thing you keep running from: yourself. Because pain isn't punishment, it's a mirror. And most people can't stand what it reflects. You see, people love to play the victim of their own reflection. They say, why does this always happen to me? But they never stop to ask, what part of me keeps attracting this? They keep pointing fingers, blaming luck, blaming God, blaming the world. Anything to avoid the truth staring right back at them. Because the truth is never easy to swallow. It's jagged. It cuts through the stories you tell yourself just to sleep at night. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start realizing that pain doesn't show up to hurt you. It shows up to show you. Every disappointment you felt was a lesson wearing a disguise. Every heartbreak was a reminder that you've been settling for less than you deserve. Every failure was a sign that you were building your life on weak foundations. But instead of listening, you got angry. Instead of learning, you resisted. Because it's easier to stay broken when you can blame something else for the cracks. The problem is, that's how cycles are born. Not from curses, but from comfort. The kind of comfort that whispers, maybe it's just bad luck, when deep down you know it's not. People don't want truth, they want reassurance. They want someone to tell them it's okay to stay the same. But truth doesn't soothe. It exposes. It shines light where you've built shadows. It points out the rot underneath your excuses. And that's why people run from it. Because once you see that the pain isn't random, you lose your favorite excuse. That life just happens to you. Once you understand that your choices built this reality, You can't keep pretending to be powerless. And that's when the reflection starts to hurt. Because now it's not the world breaking you, it's you doing it to yourself. Pain doesn't knock politely. It slams the door open. It walks in and ruins everything you thought was stable, just to make you pay attention. Because it knows something you don't. You've been asleep. Not physically, but spiritually, mentally, emotionally asleep. Living on autopilot, repeating patterns, hoping things will change while you stay exactly the same. And pain, it's not your enemy. It's your alarm clock. It doesn't want to destroy you. It wants to wake you. But you keep hitting snooze every time. You ever think about that? How your greatest lessons always come wrapped in pain. How the people who hurt you the most were the ones who revealed what you needed to heal. That's the twisted beauty of it. The same thing that breaks you is the thing that builds you. But most people never get there. They drown in bitterness instead of learning how to breathe underwater. They mistake suffering for punishment instead of transformation. Because they don't understand. Pain isn't life being cruel. It's life being honest. Every emotion you run from becomes a chain around your neck. Every wound you ignore becomes a wound you reopen. And every pattern you deny becomes a path you walk again. You can't escape what you refuse to face. Life won't let you. It's persistent like that. It'll bring you the same type of person, the same type of job, the same type of betrayal, until you finally stop and say, "All right, I get it." That's when things start to shift. Not when the pain stops, but when the awareness begins. Because the moment you stop seeing pain as a curse, it turns into your compass. It starts guiding you instead of haunting you. You begin to understand that the universe isn't cruel. It's calculated. It's trying to align you with something higher, something truer, but you keep resisting because truth feels uncomfortable. But comfort is where you rot, not where you rise. Pain cracks you open, but that's the only way light gets in. The irony is, the very thing you hate, the heartbreak, the loss, the rejection, is the thing sculpting you into who you're supposed to be. You don't grow through ease. You grow through friction, through pressure, through collapse. That's how diamonds form, not by staying safe, but by surviving the squeeze. And maybe, just maybe, that's why life keeps bringing you the same lesson. Because it's waiting for you to stop blaming the pressure and start becoming the diamond. You'll notice something strange once you finally accept that pain as a mirror. The reflection changes. The people who used to hurt you lose their power. The situations that used to break you don't shake you anymore. You start responding instead of reacting. And just like that, the cycle ends. Not because the world suddenly got kinder, but because you finally learned to look pain in the eye and say, "Thank you for showing me what I refused to see." You ever notice how life keeps throwing the same chaos at you, just dressed a little differently? One week, it's a friend betraying you. The next, it's someone you trusted at work. And the next, it's silence where you expected support. Different faces, same feeling. It's not random. It's a pattern. And the worst part, you keep acting like you don't recognize it. You keep calling it bad luck, as if life just has it out for you. But no, life's got better things to do. It's not out to hurt you. It's trying to teach you. But you're too busy reacting to realize you're in class. The signs were there. They always are. That feeling in your gut when something felt off, but you ignored it. That quiet voice that said, "Don't go back," and you went anyway. That subtle tension before things went wrong. You call it intuition, instinct, energy. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing, awareness. The part of you that sees the truth before your mind catches up. But you don't trust it. You want logic. You want proof. You want the storm to hit before you believe the clouds were warning you. And by the time you do, it's too late. You're standing in the middle of it, drenched in your own denial. That's the funny part. People say they want answers, but when life gives them signs, they ignore them because the signs don't fit their desires. You want to believe the best in people, even when they've shown you their worst. You want to believe things will change, even when history says otherwise. You keep rewriting the same story, hoping the ending will somehow be different. But the truth doesn't change just because you're tired of hearing it. The pattern stays until you face it. You see, life isn't cruel. It's consistent. It will keep showing you the same situation until you finally respond differently. That's why you keep ending up in the same place with different people. Because you're not learning the lesson. You're just changing the scenery. You think moving cities, cutting people off, starting new projects will fix it. But you bring yourself everywhere you go. The same wounds, the same fears, the same blind spots. And until you fix those, life will keep pressing replay. It's like the universe is saying, "You didn't get it last time. Let's try again." Over and over until it finally clicks. And when it does, everything shifts. But most people never get there. They quit halfway through. They get bitter. They start saying things like, "I guess that's just life." No, that's not life. That's your refusal to grow. Because growth means discomfort. It means taking responsibility. It means admitting that maybe, just maybe, the problem isn't out there. It's in here. You ever think about how much energy you waste avoiding awareness? How you distract yourself, justify things, overthink, overwork, overlove, anything to not sit alone with your truth. Because truth is heavy. It doesn't whisper sweet things. It exposes. It makes you realize you've been building on shaky foundations. It makes you see that some people you call home were never safe. It makes you face the fact that maybe you've been choosing pain on purpose just because it's familiar. That's the cruel trick of comfort. It makes the cage feel like a choice, but awareness ruins that illusion. Once you see, you can't unsee. Once you realize the role you've been playing in your own suffering, the game changes. You stop chasing people who don't want to stay. You stop forcing doors that won't open. You stop mistaking struggle for loyalty. You start understanding that not everything that breaks you is unfair. Some of it is necessary, because without the breaking, you'd never stop pretending. Without the pain, you'd never wake up. The signs you ignore become the storms that break you. That's how life works. It starts with whispers, then warnings, then wreckage. You get gentle reminders first, the unease, the tension, the repeating thoughts. And if you still refuse to listen, life raises its voice. It sends you loss, endings, silence. And then you start praying for clarity, not realizing you already had it. It's just that you didn't like what it said. You ever notice how people only start asking for signs after they've ignored all the ones that mattered? Like they want divine permission to keep making the same mistakes. But signs don't work like that. They're not here to comfort you. They're here to confront you. They tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to. And if you keep pretending not to notice, the message gets louder until you can't ignore it anymore. Until the life you built on lies collapses and forces you to rebuild in truth. And maybe that's why life feels so heavy sometimes. Because you're carrying all the lessons you refuse to learn. You keep dragging yesterday's mistakes into today, wondering why tomorrow feels the same. But once you finally start noticing the signs, something strange happens. The chaos starts making sense. The timing, the patterns, the people, they all fit. You realize it wasn't bad luck. It was alignment. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. The lessons were never trying to destroy you. They were trying to deliver you. But until you listen, they'll keep knocking. And each time a little louder. Because life doesn't get tired of teaching. It just waits for you to get tired of repeating. You ever feel that restlessness that doesn't make sense? That strange unease that shows up when everything in your life looks fine, but something deep inside you feels off. You smile. You work, you talk, you go through the motions, but underneath it all there's this quiet noise you can't escape. Like a vibration in your chest, a whisper that says, something isn't right. You try to drown it out with distractions, with people, with noise, but it keeps following you. You change your surroundings, your routines, even your dreams, but that feeling, it never leaves. Because it's not something outside you. It's something inside trying to wake you up. People call it anxiety, boredom, restlessness, but that's just a label. The truth is, it's your soul warning you. It's that deeper part of you saying, you're drifting. You're pretending to be okay with things that no longer fit. You're settling for a version of yourself that's smaller than the one you were meant to become. And that tension you feel, that pressure building under your skin, it's not punishment. It's potential. It's everything inside you screaming for release. You see, that feeling isn't random. It's... Hello, my dear, strange, isn't it? How some nights feel heavier than others. The air feels different, the silence louder, like the world is holding its breath, waiting for you to notice something you've been ignoring for far too long. You can feel it, can't you? That uneasy pull in your chest, that quiet whisper in the back of your mind saying, listen, this one matters. Because deep down, you know it's not just another night. There's something about tonight. Something final, something beginning. Maybe it's the way your thoughts won't sit still, or how the same feeling keeps circling back, no matter how much you try to distract yourself. You've been avoiding a truth, hoping time would make it softer, easier to swallow. But time doesn't heal what you refuse to face. It amplifies it. Every ignored sign becomes louder. Every delay becomes a debt. And now, here you are, being pulled toward a message you were never meant to miss. You ever notice how some nights don't feel like the rest? You can't explain it, but something inside you refuses to settle. Your mind won't stop spinning. Your chest feels tight. And no matter how many distractions you throw at it, that hollow feeling stays. That's not insomnia. That's not anxiety. That's awareness knocking on your ribs. Restlessness isn't random. It's the body's way of telling you something is about to shift. It's the storm before the realization, the tremor before the awakening. People call it discomfort, but really, it's truth trying to break through the noise you built to hide from it. You see, most people spend their whole lives running from silence. They drown themselves in noise, scrolling, talking, pretending. Anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts. Because silence is dangerous. It strips away illusions. It shows you who you really are, not who you pretend to be. That's why the nights hit harder. There's no audience, no performance, no mask. Just you, the darkness, and everything you've tried not to think about. That's when restlessness creeps in. That's when the truth starts whispering, and no matter how much you resist, you hear it anyway. You know what's funny? People pray for signs, beg for clarity, plead for answers, and then when the signs come, they call it overthinking. When the truth surfaces, they drown it in excuses. They want light, but not if it exposes their shadows. They want peace, but not if it requires change. So they ignore the restlessness, label it as stress, and go back to pretending. But that feeling doesn't go away. It lingers. It grows. Because the truth doesn't disappear when ignored. It waits. Patiently. Until you're tired enough, broken enough, or desperate enough to finally listen. Restlessness is a signal. A divine alarm. A call that something within you is ready to move, ready to shed, ready to evolve. But evolution isn't polite. It doesn't knock gently. It shakes you. It keeps you up at night. It pulls your attention to the things you've buried, the emotions you've muted, the decisions you've delayed. It's not punishment. It's preparation. You can't stay who you were and still become who you're meant to be. And your soul knows that. That's why it refuses to let you rest. There's always that moment when you sit in the dark and realize you're not the same. The things that once excited you don't anymore. The people who used to understand you now feel distant. The places that felt like home suddenly feel too small. That's not sadness. That's expansion. Your spirit is outgrowing your surroundings. But growth doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It starts with restlessness. It begins with the unease that makes you question everything you thought you wanted. Most people call that feeling a curse. They try to silence it with routine, relationships, addictions, anything to numb the ache of becoming. But you can't silence a transformation that's already begun. You can't go back once you've started to wake up. That's why the nights feel heavier lately, why your thoughts feel sharper, why everything ordinary suddenly feels unbearable. It's because your soul is preparing to break its own cage. You see, people think change starts with decision, but it starts with discomfort. The universe doesn't ask politely. It agitates. It unsettles. It takes away the things you used to lean on so that you'll finally stand on your own. And the irony is, you'll think everything's falling apart when really everything's aligning. The restlessness is proof that something inside you refuses to die quietly. There's a reason you can't sleep. A reason your heart races when you think about your life. A reason certain memories sting more than usual. You're not falling apart. You're waking up. Your body knows it, your mind resists it, and your spirit demands it. That friction you feel, that's transformation in motion. And the louder it gets, the closer you are to clarity. You might try to distract yourself, to bury the feeling again. You'll tell yourself it's just a phase, that you'll feel better tomorrow. But deep down, you know that's not true, because this kind of restlessness doesn't fade. It evolves. It keeps pressing, keeps pulsing, until you finally stop running. Until you finally sit still and ask the question you've been avoiding. What is this trying to tell me? That's when everything starts to shift. Maybe the restlessness isn't your enemy. Maybe it's your teacher. The same force that unsettles you is the one that's guiding you. It's showing you what no longer fits, what no longer serves, what no longer deserves your energy. It's stripping away comfort so you can find purpose. You may hate it now, but one day you'll look back and realize it wasn't trying to hurt you. It was trying to wake you. Because sometimes the only way life can get your attention is by keeping you awake long enough to finally see what's been right in front of you all along. You ever notice how people pretend they're fine, even when their world is burning behind their smile? They walk around like everything's under control, like they've got it all figured out, when inside they're hanging by a thread. The truth is, most people aren't living. They're just surviving. Numb, going through the motions, trying to convince themselves they're happy because the alternative is too painful to face. But there's always that moment, that quiet second when the noise fades and reality slips through the cracks. That's when you feel it, the emptiness, the ache, the quiet realization that something isn't right. That's not weakness, that's awareness. That's the soul whispering. There's more than this. But people don't like that voice. It scares them. Because if they listen, they'll have to admit they've been lying to themselves. They'll have to admit they've settled for less peace, less passion, less life. So they silence it. They drown it with distractions, routine, meaningless conversations. They chase comfort instead of truth. And for a while, it works. They feel safe, in control, until life decides to pull the rug out from under them. Until something, or someone, forces them to see the mirror they've been avoiding. That's the moment everything changes. It's funny, isn't it? How the things we think will destroy us are usually the things that wake us up. Heartbreak, failure, rejection, loss. The kind of pain that takes your breath away and makes you question everything. We call it suffering, but really, it's an invitation. An invitation to look deeper, to tear down the illusions and see what's real. Because pain doesn't come to punish, it comes to push. It's life's way of saying, wake up. You've been sleepwalking too long. But the world teaches us to hide pain, to mask it, medicate it, mock it. To pretend we're strong by pretending we don't feel. Yet the strongest people are the ones who allow themselves to break. The ones who don't run from the fire, they walk through it. Because they understand something most never wills, that pain purifies. It burns away everything fake. It shows you what matters. It strips you of everything that isn't real until all that's left is you. Raw, unfiltered, alive. Most people will never reach that point because they're too afraid of falling apart. They cling to the old version of themselves, even when it's killing them. They try to rebuild their life, using the same broken pieces that shattered them. They want transformation without discomfort, healing without truth. But you can't become new without letting the old die. You can't heal if you're still defending the wound. You can't move forward while you're chained to what hurt you. That's why pain keeps returning in cycles. It keeps repeating until you learn the lesson it came to teach. You'll keep attracting the same situations, the same people, the same disappointment, until you finally face it, until you finally say, I'm done pretending this doesn't hurt. Because that's the moment healing begins. Not when everything feels better, but when you stop lying about how much it hurts. People think healing is beautiful. It's not. It's ugly. It's messy. It's nights of questioning your worth, mornings of forcing yourself to breathe. Days where you feel like you're crawling through broken glass. But it's also real. It's the kind of pain that transforms you from the inside out. And one day, without realizing it, you wake up different. Not healed, maybe, but awake, aware, stronger in the places you once broke. The truth is, everyone wants peace, but no one wants the process. They want the light, but not the fire that creates it. They want growth without loss. But that's not how life works. Life destroys before it rebuilds. It empties you so it can fill you with something better. It takes away what you thought you couldn't live, without to show you that you can. It humbles you so you can finally see beyond yourself. That's why pain is not your enemy. It's your initiation. It's the test that separates the dreamers from the doers, the believers from the pretenders. It's how the universe measures your readiness. You say you want change, but do you really? Because change requires sacrifice. It requires losing what's comfortable to gain what's meant for you. You can either run from pain or learn from it. But one thing's for sure, it doesn't leave empty-handed. It either takes your peace or gives you purpose. And that choice, it's always yours. Most people choose the first. They'd rather numb themselves, live small, stay broken quietly. But a few, just a few, choose differently. They let pain do its work. They let it break them open, not down. And those are the ones who rise, not because they were spared from pain, but because they stopped fighting it. You'll never be free until you stop fearing the things that hurt you. You'll never grow if you keep running from the lessons life's trying to teach you. Sometimes, the pain you hate the most is the very thing building the version of you you've been praying for. You just can't see it yet. But someday you'll look back and realize it had to hurt, because that was the only way you were ever going to wake up. You ever wonder why people wait for the last moment to change? Why they only start thinking, feeling, realizing when the walls start closing in? It's almost like they need chaos to wake up, like peace is too quiet for them to notice. They go through life pretending they've got all the time in the world, wasting their days on things that won't even matter tomorrow. They talk about dreams they'll chase one day, people they'll love when the time is right, and risks they'll take when they're ready. But the clock doesn't wait for them. Life doesn't care about their plans. And when the moment comes, when the curtain starts to fall, they finally look around and whisper, "I should have done more." But by then, more isn't an option anymore. It's strange how people fear death, but live like they're already dead. They trade their fire for routine, their courage for comfort, their dreams for a paycheck. They build cages around themselves and call it stability. They follow rules no one remembers making, repeat cycles they swore they'd break, and then wonder why everything feels so meaningless. But deep down, they know. They know they're wasting time. They just don't want to admit it, because admitting it would mean facing the truth, that they've been asleep their entire life. You can see it in their eyes, the dullness, the quiet resignation, the way they talk about the past like it's the best part of them, the way they laugh at the idea of change like it's too late, like the world already decided who they are. But that's the biggest lie there is. Time isn't your enemy, it's your reflection. It gives you chances over and over again to do something different. It's just that most people never take them. They wait for a sign, for permission, for a perfect moment that never comes. They forget that every second that passes is a door closing. Every breath is a chance you'll never get again. Yet they scroll, they gossip, they sleepwalk through their existence, acting like they've got eternity to waste. But one night, they'll lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and it'll hit them. That hollow ache in the chest, that quiet whisper of regret, the realization that time has been slipping through their fingers while they were busy pretending they had control. That's the cruel trick of life. It doesn't announce when the end is near. It just takes. It takes your youth, your energy, your chances, one by one, until all you have left are memories of what you didn't do. People say, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow isn't promised. You can't negotiate with time. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, your plans. It just moves. And every day you wait, every risk you avoid, every dream you bury, it all piles up into a life half-lived. The truth is, people don't fear dying. They fear never having lived. They fear looking back and realizing they never really felt alive, that they were too scared to love deeply, to chase wildly, to fail boldly, that they spent their years trying to fit in when they were born to stand out, that they mistook surviving for living. It's tragic, really, because the only moment that truly exists is now. This breath, this heartbeat. But people waste it waiting for a better time. They don't understand that the right time is the moment they decide it is. And yet, some people do wake up. Usually when they've lost everything. When the things they thought mattered crumble, and all that's left is themselves. That's when they start to see clearly. That's when they realize the power they always had. The power to choose, to change, to start again. It's funny how loss brings clarity, how endings reveal truth. But by then, they're desperate to go back, to rewrite the story. Only life doesn't do rewinds. It only offers lessons. You can't outrun time. You can't beg for more of it. But you can use what you have left. You can stop pretending tomorrow's guaranteed. You can stop waiting for someone to save you and save yourself. You can decide that this breath, this second, is your turning point. Because the real tragedy isn't dying. It's dying with potential still inside you. Every person gets signs, warnings, whispers. That uneasy feeling in your gut when you're not living right. That sudden thought that says, you were meant for more. That's not coincidence. It's a calling. It's the universe nudging you, begging you to wake up before it's too late. But most ignore it until something drastic happens. Until the job disappears, the relationship ends, the health fades. Then suddenly, they want to live. But why wait for loss to start appreciating what's here? Why wait for pain to open your eyes? You can keep waiting for the perfect time, or you can make now perfect. You can keep watching others live boldly while you hide behind fear. Or you can step into the fire and see what you're really made of. Because one day, the clock will stop. And the only question that'll matter is, did you live? Or did you just exist? The world won't remember how safe you played it. It won't remember how many things you avoided. It'll remember your fire, your courage, your madness to chase what others were too afraid to. So if you're hearing this, maybe it's not random. Maybe this is your warning. Or maybe it's your last chance. You know what's funny? People say they want peace, but they wouldn't know what to do with it if they had it. They claim they're searching for happiness, for stillness, for calm. But deep down, they're addicted to the noise. The drama, the constant chaos that keeps them distracted from what's really inside. They scroll through pain like it's entertainment, drown in other people's lives, just to avoid facing their own. Because silence is dangerous. It forces you to hear the truth, whispering inside your head, And most people can't handle that. When everything goes quiet, you start to notice things. The weight of your choices. The people who don't really care. The goals you abandoned. The dreams you traded for comfort. And suddenly, that silence becomes deafening. So you fill it with noise. Music, screens, voices. Anything to drown out that little voice saying, "You're meant for more than this." It's tragic, but it's also predictable. People are terrified of hearing their own truth because it demands action. And action, that means risk. That means change. And change scares them more than misery. They say they want to be free. But freedom is not as pretty as they imagine. Freedom means taking responsibility for your own life. It means not having someone to blame when things go wrong. It means standing in front of a mirror and admitting that you're the one holding yourself back. No system, no person, no excuse. Just you. That's why so many prefer the chains. They're comfortable, predictable, safe. They complain about the cage, but never leave it because at least in there, they know the rules. Out here, in freedom, there are no guarantees, just choices. People chase comfort like it's the ultimate prize, but comfort is the slowest kind of poison. It lulls you into a soft, sleepy death. It makes you believe you're okay while your fire quietly burns out. Every dream dies a little in comfort. Every ambition fades under the weight of routine. You start making excuses, calling it patience, calling it being realistic. But deep down, you know you're just scared. Scared to fail, scared to be seen, scared to lose control. So you pretend you're content. You build a small life and convince yourself it's enough. But your soul knows better. It's why you feel restless, even when everything looks fine. Why you can't sleep sometimes, even when you're not tired. That's not anxiety. It's your spirit rebelling against mediocrity. It's the part of you that remembers what you were born for, pounding on the walls you built around it. It's trying to wake you up. But most people just pop another pill, scroll a little longer, distract themselves until it quiets down again. They call it coping. I call it surrender. You can almost see it on their faces. The light fading. They used to have that spark, that wild look of possibility, but life crushed it out of them. Not all at once, no. Slowly. A compromise here, a fear there. One small betrayal of their own potential at a time. Until one day, they look in the mirror and don't recognize the person staring back. They don't see a fighter anymore. They see someone who settled. Someone who survived instead of lived. And they tell themselves it's okay because, at least I'm comfortable. But comfort doesn't feed the soul. It kills it. And you can tell when a soul's dying. It starts craving distractions, addictions, validation. It starts grasping for anything that'll make it feel alive again. People don't even chase success because they love it. They chase it because they're trying to fill the void inside them. But nothing external can fix what's broken internally. You can't buy peace. You can't fake purpose. You can't escape yourself forever. At some point, you'll have to sit in that silence you've been avoiding. You'll have to face the things you buried, the truth about why you settled, the regret of who you could have been. And it'll hurt. It'll tear you apart. But that pain, that's the cleansing fire. That's the moment your soul starts breathing again. Because truth, no matter how brutal, is always the beginning of freedom. Most people don't understand that the path to peace is paved with chaos. You have to destroy the false version of yourself before you can find who you really are. You have to lose everything you thought you needed to realize what actually matters. And that's why life keeps shaking people, breaking people, taking things from them. It's not punishment. It's awakening. It's life saying, wake up before it's too late. You see, pain is a teacher, one of the few that never lies. It strips away the illusions, the masks, the fake smiles. It shows you what's real. And that's why you should never run from it. You should sit with it. Let it carve out the parts of you that no longer belong. Because when the pain fades, what remains is something unbreakable, truth. But here's the cruel irony. Most people won't get there. They'll numb themselves until the end. They'll never hear the message behind the suffering. They'll never see that their breakdown was actually their breakthrough trying to happen. They'll die with the lesson unlearned, the gift unopened, all because they were too scared to sit still, too scared to listen, too scared to face themselves. That's why the silence matters. That's why stillness is sacred. Because only in that quiet, when the noise fades and the masks drop, do you finally see what's been hidden all along. You. It's strange, isn't it? How the message always comes when you least expect it. Not when you're ready, not when you're peaceful, but when your life feels like it's falling apart. When you're sitting there, exhausted from pretending everything's fine. That's when it arrives. Quietly, like a whisper in the middle of all the chaos. The message doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It simply waits for you to notice. And when you finally do, something inside you shifts. It's not just words anymore. It's recognition. Like hearing a song you didn't know you remembered. You've been running from silence, from reflection, from yourself. You filled your world with noise, hoping it would drown out the emptiness. But emptiness isn't the enemy. It's the signal. It's life telling you there's more, that you've settled for less. The message doesn't appear to punish you. It appears to awaken you. It comes when you've been too blind to see the signs scattered all around you. The faces, the coincidences, the strange timing of things. It's all been leading to this moment. And now, here it is again, knocking on the same door you kept locked. You ever notice how the world has a way of circling back to the things you avoid? You ignore a lesson, and life will repackage it and hand it to you again. Different wrapping, same core. You ignore the ache in your chest, and one day it turns into a storm. You silence your intuition long enough, and eventually